Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to He Say, She Say Family Coach Live. I am your host, Shar Selassie, founder of Law for Love, a very special place on earth where we navigate families through very difficult times. I welcome you here to He Say, She Say Live. Law for Love is the place where the gender wars stop. And so I welcome you in. Hey, shalom, Brother Fast Nickel. Shalom, Auntie Darlene. Welcome in. And I am going to see if I'm able to actually drop the link for today's conversation because I have had this topic heavy on my heart for the past couple of days. So I welcome anyone to join in to the conversation. Now let me share my screen. Let me see how I want to do this. How do I want to do this? So does anybody have anything to share from Eclipse News today? did I miss anything? Did any reptiles fall out the sky? Hey, welcome in. Welcome in, Brother Walt. Shalom. Any Eclipse News? I have been working all day. I haven't even been able to really fully appreciate the news of the day. Anything crazy happen out there today, y'all? I am trying to figure out how to share a document that I have to illustrate the conversation for today. This topic is directed to my ladies. Are y'all able to see? Yeah, y'all can see. I want to talk to the ladies. I am inviting the brothers to chime in. Call me out if I'm wrong. Call me out if I'm wrong. Keep in mind that my work in the family law space is making observations and finding creative ways to help people move forward. So you say that there was nothing where you are, Auntie. The only thing that fell in your area was rain. Hilarious. So that's the Eclipse News. Like, what was the big buildup all about? You know, I was watching a couple of things trying to see, okay, what's going on here in these Eclipse streets and all of the other little symbolism with NASA and the rocket and the Egyptian god, and I don't know what they got going on, but thankful to hear that everybody is well, everybody is safe. And so let's kind of dive in. You know, I have put together this quick little ebook, y'all, because I'll give you some background. I was recently ganged up on by some young women, women who are cohabitating with their men. Of course, they are in our community. For anyone who is seeing this replay, just joining this conversation, this is Family Talk about the Black family. This is about Black men and Black women and how we can find our way back to each other by hearing each other's needs and concerns and just having some open dialogue without all of the division between us so we can come back together again. Just cloud covering your area. Thank you, Nayazeki. So it was a little anticlimactic from what I could gather from most folks. I guess we'll just continue to monitor world events and whatnot as they continue to unfold. But we in our community, we know that there's a lot of spiritual significance with respect to this particular eclipse. We'll just continue to keep an eye on it, right? So back to what kind of like inspired this ebook. So this is a quick little ebook that I was working on yesterday because of these young women. Again, I got ganged up on for relationship advice. My husband and I, we've been married for 16 years. The journey has not been easy. I almost made me want to sing, that old Black song. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. So, shalom, Sister Princess. So, uh, so these young women have been rolling up on me to talk about relationships and marriage and understanding their man. And I'll let you know right here, my policy, I don't attempt to give relationship advice to folks that's not married. In fact, I believe I shared that with you, with regards to the wedding we hosted last week. Was, it all kind of got birthed out of, hey, um relationship advice. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Y'all ain't married. Y'all ain't married. And by the way, I'm not telling you to get married, because if you are going to enter into this thing we call marriage, then your mindset, brothers, sisters, you better be ready to die your way up out of this covenant, because that's how serious it is. You're literally giving a vow to this other person saying, I'm in this with you. I will not leave you. I will not forsake you. And the only way out of this is one of us got to die. And it's really that serious. And so these young women come to me, and some of the things that they're sharing, because of course they're coming in the context of things that's troubling them about the men in their lives. And because this is something that we see a lot of in my particular work, and there's some observations that I've been making about our men and some of the things that our men are struggling with, I figure, you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Why your black man is not leading. So I'll start this off with a story that I heard Les Brown share. Now, Les Brown, he's from my hometown of Miami-Dade County. He's from Miami, Florida. And he has a story about how he's growing up in Miami, and every day he's walking home from school, and this dog starts chasing him, barking at him, and he's running from this dog every day, like every day, same time, every day. This dog has it out to get him. And so one particular day, after going through this routine of being terrorized by this dog, one day he got a chance to look at the dog, and the dog is steady barking, got him scared, and he noticed that the dog had no teeth in his mouth. And when he realized that he had been running from a dog that had no teeth, he got mad, and he told the dog to get out of his face. Gone, get on, gone. And that was the end of, the foolishness of him running from the dog without teeth. But, the first point that I make in my analysis, again, I always open up my observations and my commentary and my opinion to men and women. Am I seeing this correctly? Is there something else we should add to this? Let's put it together. The first point that I write in this short little scenario, one of the reasons why our men are not leading is because they don't have teeth. And when I say teeth, I'm thinking about a lion, right? And I'm thinking about, if you picture a lion's teeth, or you think about a lion's teeth, what is your first thought or your first reaction about a lion and them teeth? What are you thinking? Like, if you were face to face with a lion and that lion showed his teeth. I do provide premarital coaching for marriages that y'all have made a commitment, y'all have eloped. The Bible actually does recognize that as a contract. Those are biblical arrangements. And yes, I do. If you have committed in an engagement to marry, I absolutely do. So, you see, when you think of a lion's teeth, what is your first thought? What is your first thought when you think about lion's teeth? Because what we're talking about when I'm having this conversation, this analysis with you, I'm talking about what was done to our men by a culture that fears our men, by a culture that does not want our men to be in their rightful place and to be in the power in which they were created. So the first thing you think of, for me, I think lion's teeth, instant death. Like teeth represent how do we write it in here? Oh gosh, I just had the teeth represent respect. Respect. So when we're talking about a lion's teeth, we talk about respect for the fact that like one chomp, one chomp from this lion can end your life. And that's not to say that we as women we want to be afraid that our men are going to kill us. No, I'm talking from the standpoint of respect. And what I'm saying is, culturally speaking, when it comes to our men not leading, part of the issue is the withholding of, denial of, or the ignoring of the need for them to be respected. So I'm calling that the teeth. And if you knew a lion didn't have no teeth, just like when Les Brown realized that dog didn't have no teeth, you lose respect for the fact that this, you're dealing with a dangerous creature. And so that's point number one. And when I talk about, that loss of respect, we talk about a couple of ways that men feel disrespected. Men feel disrespected when their opinions are not heard or they are disregarded. And for many, many years, I used to say to men, hey, the number one complaint that I hear from women is that they don't feel like their man listens to them. Like across the board, women are always sharing openly, my man don't listen. And so I've heard it so much during my practice. I'm like, dang, nobody husband listen. We all look, I'm gonna add myself to that list. Like we all feel like we're not being heard. But the interesting thing is when I began to do more of the mediation work, working with a husband and a wife at the same time, I began to notice the pattern that nearly 100% of the time, husbands were opening up in mediation and sharing with me, they don't feel like their wife listens. And so, wives, again, the whole topic of discussion here is why our men are not leading and how we can make the difference as the women in their lives. So, if you understand that your man does not feel respect because he don't feel like you hear him, he doesn't feel like you value his opinion, then you treat him like a lion that don't have teeth. He's not feeling respected. So that's one of the big ones on the list for the men in terms of, again, things that are being shared with me in these mediation spaces. Another thing that was listed on what makes a man feel like he doesn't have teeth, a lion, that he's a lion without teeth, is when he is ridiculed or embarrassed by his woman in public or in front of his family. For a man to know, let me see, we got some feedback. What's this? For a man to know how to lead, he needs to have a man in his life as an example. And with many of the homes being single mothers, these men don't sometimes have the male role model to learn from. I mean, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, for 2 generations now, maybe 3, they have projected through their data, their census data, that the Black community is plagued with single parent homes, almost like a prophetic declaration over our community to ensure that our men do not have that mentorship and that modeling of manhood and leadership in the house. And I agree 100%. And so with respect to us as women understanding this, I want us not only to talk about what the problem is, but at least empower the ladies with this insight for the sake of doing our part to help make the difference. While our lions are finding their teeth, While our lions are finding the other aspects, and I'm going to get into those in just a minute. Let me see. What do we have here? I think my husband listens too well. It is the doing of what I ask that is hard. Now look, and here, you know, is he feeling respected? Does he feel like he has teeth? Is that respect there? Or is another element, and we're going to talk about the other two aspects of a lion that I'm analyzing here for the sake of us helping each other, ladies, how we can make the difference. It's not our job to give him teeth. It's not our, and the other two parts are his teeth, his claws, and his roar. It's not our job as the women to endow him with those things. Like, he was created in the image of his father. He has to discover those things about his nature, his being, his role in the earth. But we as women, this conversation is, how do we make the difference, right? So you say your husband is listening well, but is he doing what I'm asking him to do? Well, why is that? Because sometimes they can say they're going to do it. They get around to it when they feel like they want to get around to it, or maybe they're not doing it fast enough for us. So I'm diving into that here, right? So that was the part about the feeling disrespected. What was the other thing that makes them feel disrespected? Lack of appreciation and acknowledgement. And so we ladies, we feel the same way when we are not appreciated. We around here ripping and running and doing all kind of stuff and taking care of everybody and even neglecting ourselves a lot. It's happening a lot. I've seen men do it as well, but more often it's women. We want to feel appreciated. We want somebody to take the time and notice, all of the things that we're doing. But men feel the same way. And so when we're not appreciating our men, or we're not acknowledging where they're showing up, that's another way of making the lion feel like he don't have no teeth. He's not being respected. So those are my thoughts when it comes to respecting the lion. So the next part was his claws, right? So the claws part represents the power of a lion. A lion's power. Where is it? A lion's power. Those are his claws. So I thought about this from a book that I read called Part of the Pride. Part of the Pride. This guy, he is a very, very interesting. The author is Kevin Richardson. He is a most bizarre human being. He talks about his childhood in South Africa. He is a white man, second or third generation, growing up living in South Africa. South Africa is his home. And he made himself a part of a lion pride. It's like I said, it's wild, y'all. How this man, his relationship with lions even astounds professional lion keepers. Like, he breaks all the rules of lion keeping with his relationship with the lions. He rolls around with them. He plays with them. He lays down and he naps with them. He considers them his brothers, these two male lions that he adopted himself into their pride. And not only with the lions, but he was the same way with the hyenas in this particular predator reserve in South Africa. So if you ever want to listen to like a just really interesting read, learn more about lions and just get a little more insight. The two things that you really take away from his experience with these lions is that what made them get along was their mutual respect. Like, there was a mutual respect. And so he talks about this one lion who ended up in the predator preserve because this lion had killed a couple of men in a village. And they didn't kill the lion, but they declawed the lion. And he talks about how much power is in the swipe of a lion, that the claws are razor sharp, and the force of a lion's paw when it comes down on you with them claws, hundreds of pounds of force with some razors. So that's why I say power. Claws represent power. And this one lion, they declawed him because he was a man killer. And he talked about how pitiful that lion was. Like when he no longer had his power, it was like he wasn't a lion anymore. Like he didn't see himself as a lion anymore. And so you know, ladies, when I think about this and I think about the environment that our men are in a culture that is afraid of them naturally, and that has done everything in their power to keep our men declawed and defanged, then we wanna be mindful of what it is for a king of the beast. And in our conversation about lions, the lion is the king of the beast, but the black man, he's the highest level of creation on this earth. And with respect to our tribal rights, he is a king. But he wouldn't know it based on the way that society treats him, and especially if his woman doesn't recognize his power. And so being mindful about this means that we can make the difference by recognizing that, yes, he does have an inherent power. And just because that power is not necessarily enabled by the culture or even socially acceptable, because, I mean, let's face it, this culture promotes men in dresses. This culture promotes men who act a fool. This culture promotes men who have the appearance of harmlessness. The more mild, tamed, or emasculated a man appears, the less threatening he is to the status quo of the dominant society, then he is considered safe. And it's that appearance of safety that declaws our men. And so we, as their women, we can make the difference by remaining mindful of this and operating with our men in such a way where we are not engaging in power struggles with our man. He can have the last word, and you don't lose the fight just because he had the last word. Ladies, this is one that I hear a lot, and especially one of the young women who came to me, the guy told her she operating in her masculinity because she always has to have the last word now. So I don't agree with the way that these young folks talk about this stuff. I have to operate in my masculinity because he's not leading. And I'm like, where I'm from, I call that hyena energy, honey. You're not moving like a lioness, you're moving like a hyena. When you have to dominate, you have to have the power, you have to have the last word. You are not moving like a lioness. A lioness is characterized by cooperation with the male lion for the purpose of the survival of the pride. And so, yeah, she's doing a lot, right? She's doing a lot, but that doesn't mean that she gets to rule over him with all of the work that she's doing. I also like to, when I'm talking to wives about this dynamic between men and women, I like to talk about the difference between the way we think, understanding that men tend to think in compartments or boxes. This is how I learned it from a pastor in Deerfield Beach. He said, men have boxes. We only have one thing in each box. Women, your brains are like a bunch of jumbled up spaghetti. everything touches and it's all scrambled up and crazy in there. and it's absolutely true. We are spaghetti, they are waffles. And a part of recognizing a man's power is also recognizing that he can focus on one thing. And a lot of times when it comes to these arguments or these verbal debates that we enter into with men, we overwhelm and frustrate our men because we be all over the place. We changing the subject because we're talking about how everything relate to everything in the other year and the other day and this, that, and the third. And the man is like, I have no idea how we got here. What are we talking about? How are we gonna fix the problem that we started talking about 5 minutes ago? And now took me all around the world. We can make the difference, ladies, in the area of allowing our men to operate in their power by only bringing one issue to them at a time and just dealing with that issue until that issue is resolved. Either you have resolved the one issue or you have agreed to come back and talk about it some more until y'all can resolve the one issue. But going all around the world and back with our men is a way that we dominate our men verbally. So we can make the difference by not doing that. And then the last point is about the lion's roar. What do we have here? Just as some men grew up without a father figure, as an example, a lot of women didn't have that same experience and don't know how to be treated as a lady, let alone act like one. Thank you so much for saying this. Thank you so much for saying this. When I'm talking to women who have a similar upbringing as myself now, my mother was the only one out of 6 sisters. She was the only one who remained married until my father passed away. And all of my aunts had been married, but she was the only one that remained married. So out of the 6 sisters, I was the only one out of my cousins who grew up with a mom and a dad in the home to even see what that kind of supposed to look like. but even with that, the women in my family, I mean, first of all, they physically big, like tall and big, like Amazon. Then they were all very strong-willed, very independent, very boisterous. Like you ain't gonna tell them what to do, and they really don't need you. That is what most of the modeling was, even with my mom being in the marriage, having my dad at home. Mom was still very what's this? I think that potential client was hold on just a second. Let me try to shut this off. Okay, thanks. Sorry about that. So even how my mom moved with my dad was like, it was interesting, like she wasn't necessarily like, the most submissive wife. My mom was a trip. And I share this with other wives, like, yeah, I grew up in a 2-parent home, but even with having my dad in the house, it was like I didn't really learn. I didn't really learn from the female perspective how to interact with my husband in the way that I began to learn through my profession in working in broken family spaces. A lot of this stuff I had to start learning from watching and talking to other people. It wasn't modeled for me by my mom, and I grew up in a 2-parent home, right? And likewise with my brother. My brother and I, we grew up in a 2-parent home, but the way he moved as a man in his house was like, it was kind of sus, because he allowed his wife to, like, all the responsibility to fall on her, and she operated in a lot of frustration and disrespect towards him because he didn't necessarily exhibit that leadership either. So even if you have a man in the house, and look, no, no shade to my dad, he did a great job. He gave us the dad he didn't have, and he did what he knew a man should do for his family, and that was to go to work every day and to make sure that home was taken care of financially. But he didn't exhibit leadership. And my brother definitely didn't learn that leadership, and I definitely didn't get to see what it looked like for my mother to have a husband that led her spiritually and socially. It was just, they figured it out the best way they could. They worked with what they knew. They did better than what their parents did, but we are out here figuring out stuff, y'all, and have not had it modeled both on the male and the female side. So that was a good point. Personal experience with my last comment. Took me years to break the cycle of masculine energy. Masculine energy. Yeah. We don't always know that the stuff that we've seen growing up is out of order when it's all you knew. Like how many ladies here, we learned or we were conditioned that when that time of the month comes and we're not feeling our best, that we get a pass to act as ugly as we want to, and everybody just got to deal with it. A lot of women are conditioned that way. A lot of women are raised that way. A lot of women are given a pass to act ugly and just, use that as a convenient excuse. Like, no, you don't get to be the monster and terrorize everybody just because you don't feel good. If you don't feel good, go get yourself some hot cocoa and lay yourself down somewhere. You don't get a pass to just go off on people because you don't feel good. But many of us were conditioned that way. Many of us were raised that way. Many of us were raised wrong. Many of us, we have stepped into a male role so that we bare our teeth and we flash our claws because we haven't seen our men in leadership. We don't know how to wait for our men to lead. We don't know how to motivate our men to lead. And that's coming right back to, why I want to have this conversation with you ladies, because we can make a difference. We can't make them the lion, but we can definitely play our role, not to engage in power struggle with them, not to insist on having the last word, not to, cut off his man parts and make jewelry out of it. And then the last part was the roar. What's this? What's this side eye? I didn't get to catch up with you today, so we can fight today. What's this side eye? The last part is his roar. No man Doris. No man Doris. We're not having it. We do not be want to walk around with that Mandora necklace on, because once you get that necklace, ain't no turning back. You will never respect them. You will never respect that man when you are wearing his jewelry. So the final piece, y'all. The final piece is the roar. And the roar represents the authority of the lion. And here I'm talking about, like in certain terrain, you can hear the lion roar for 5 miles away. Like the sound of his roar literally marks his territory. Now I'm gonna tell you, brothers, I'm gonna bring y'all into a conversation that I often have with women to help understand the benefit of the lion's roar, because we don't always get it. And here is why. So when you watch the little Lion Kingdom, right? You're looking at a lion and the pride. The lioness, sister got it going on. Sister is having the cubs raising the cubs, protecting the cubs, teaching the cubs how to hunt, going out, hunting down the food, bringing the food back to the pride. And the first person that gets to eat what she went out and hunted and killed is the Lion King. But while she was doing all of that, where was he? Does somebody want to go ahead and tell us where was the male lion while she was doing all that stuff I just told you about? Where was she? I mean, where was he? Where was that male lion? Can somebody illustrate for us a picture of where that lion was? Yes, he's sleeping. He's chilling. Yes. What he doing? He's protecting. So, brothers, let me tell y'all what the sisters see. This is how we see it. Exactly what you just said. Sleeping, chillaxing. And to the point about protecting, we see he's sitting up there with the wind blowing through his afro, chilling. She doing everything. She ripping and a running and a running and a ripping while he chilling with the wind blowing through his afro, right? But the reason why she's able to go and hunt and cover the babies and do everything that she's doing is because the minute bruh detects a threat to his pride, he gonna get up on them fours and he gonna let out that roar. And that is his authority over his dominion, his territory. He is letting any threat know that she has me in her corner, ready to tear you apart if you threaten her or my seed. And ladies, we don't always recognize that when we moving and shaking and shaking and moving. Why? Because we have spaghetti brain. Again, we're able to be industrious because of the way that we're wired, and we are not always appreciating that his presence is protecting us. It's covering the territory that allows us to boogie, where we don't have to think about that when he's in place with the mindset of protecting us. And what we do when we signal to our men that we don't need them, then we're robbing them of their roar, of their authority, of their motivation to show up for us and to protect us. And I just had a thought that just escaped me about this particular point. I hope it comes back. But I share this with the ladies a lot because they come and they are tired. They feel like they're doing everything. And sometimes, ladies, we just need to go sit down somewhere. Sometimes we're operating out of a busyness that's actually encroaching on his authority, where he know he need to take care of it. But you moving faster than he move. And you don't like how he move, or you don't like how he do it, so you go ahead and do it, but you out of order. And you're not allowing your man to operate in his roar, in his authority. And you're continuing to communicate to him by doing this, you don't need him. And then the final point that I'm making here as well is this. And ladies, I know that this is not a popular thing to say. And yes, we carry these kids for 9 months. We go through a lot of pain to get our babies here. And when we talk about our kids, a lot of times we talk about our kids, our babies, like they don't have a dad, or that these children are not this man's seed. And they absolutely are his seed. He is the seed bearer. We are the incubator. A lot of times we usurp the male authority over our own children because they my baby, my baby, my baby. I brought that baby into the world. I pushed that baby out. I brought that baby. No, that is his seed. And so when we take a step back, when we stop doing too much, when we make room for him to operate in his authority, and look, I'm not gonna sit up here and say that y'all brothers, y'all be taking too long to do stuff sometimes. Like y'all just be like, it's mind boggling to the mind. Like, why you act like you don't see that need to be done? Like, I'm sorry, ladies. Like, is it just me? But it's like, why is this not getting done? But we can exercise some restraint, some patience, some discipline, and pull back and not just be doing everything that's for him to do. What is this? Women today have the government that protects them. That's why they act the way they do. This is so real. This is so real. It was one of my older brothers said to me, he said, if you really look at what the statistics were for marriage in the Black community, like before the civil rights movement, before all this public welfare stuff, like Black folk were the ones who were more married and stay married than anybody else. Like, a lot of that had to do with the fact that we couldn't survive without each other, y'all. Before the government stepped in and made itself, before Uncle Sam made itself our man, before Uncle Sam made itself the authority in our homes, before all manner of, shoot, you think about all of the laws, the family laws especially, that really usurp male authority. And in some cases, it's been necessary, right? I'm not going to give a pass to brothers who put their hands on their wife. We're not going to do that. You do have to have the government to step in as an authority when you got a man who don't know how to have a conversation and use his words, but he want to use his hands on his woman. That's making room for the government to come in and usurp the authority of your house when you are you're physically harming the woman in your house. Or when you're stepping away from the seed that you run into the earth and you're not showing any concern for their care or their welfare, then yes, the authority of the government is stepping in to say, okay, well, you got a paycheck, we're going to take that too. Because you have made room for the government to come in and take your authority. And the other piece of it, to your point, Brother Red, is that the government has become the authority in the mind of most women now, because we have been conditioned to believe that we can count on the government and that we cannot count on our men. And so, again, this is just a conversation, y'all. Just to point out some areas, ladies, things that we can do to make the difference. It's not our job to teach him how to roar. If he walking around looking like Simba in the Lion King, hanging out with the grub and the little, I can't never remember the name of the thing. I can never remember the name of the thing, but he walking around and he don't realize he the king. And he's working on his roar. He hasn't found it yet. Or he's been declawed by a system and a culture that wants him to see himself as nothing. Yes, the meerkat. Thank you. This might be the second or third time you've reminded me of, but I don't know why I do not like to remember that meerkat. Thank you, Red. Simba hanging out with the meerkat and warthog, and he's working on his roar. He doesn't even realize he's the king. He doesn't realize his full potential. He doesn't realize he can use his claws. He doesn't realize that the way that his teeth have been artificially removed, he can take them back. We women, we have an opportunity to be a little more mindful of what we're working with. Lions without the full understanding, use, or knowledge of those teeth, those claws, and their roar. When a woman feels safe, secure, and protected, this gives her the space to really bloom. I can't agree with you more. And so what I'm hoping to do is to help us understand how to tap into motivating our lions to show up for us, for our lions to hear us saying, "We need you. We need your protection. We need the security that your roar and your authority provides for us to go and do all this stuff that's in us to do." And us figuring out how to say that to our men, it's a really, really, really big undertaking because, ladies, I will be the first one to tell you, it was some years ago. It was some years ago, and I know it was the Ruach Hakodesh telling me, um, you go to your husband and you let him know that you need his help. And when I went to go tell this brother that I needed his help, tears were rolling down my face because the only thing I knew was taking care of myself. How was it that I had been married more than 10 years and could not find the humility, could not find the vulnerability, could not find the words from a place of kindness to ask him for help? And I was so mad at myself that I'm sitting there crying. I'm crying. This don't even make sense. Why is it that women in other communities are expected to go to their men and say, "I need you"? But for some reason in our community, it's like speaking another language to fix your lips and ask him for help or let him know you need him. So, brothers, y'all could call me out if I got anything wrong here. If you would like to add anything to this, that's my outline. The teeth, the claws, and the roar. All right, what we got here? Why is that? Does it have to do with something regarding your childhood or your surroundings as you were growing up? Brother Fast Nickel, you know, most women will agree that it's typically men that really struggle with pride and ego. But when you are someone like myself who has always been an overachiever, always been very capable, always been very willing, ready, willing, and able to go and figure it out and make it happen for myself, and having come from a family of women who know how to go and get it done, and never having seen my mother display that type of vulnerability or need, I never saw it modeled for me before. Heck, I've never seen the women in my family cry. That's just me. That's just me and my experience. I come from I come from a tribe, like I said, a tribe of very headstrong, independent Amazon women don't need nobody. That was my experience, and that is what I have had to learn how to navigate and operate in some healing, and allow that pride to be broken off of me so that I can posture myself to make the difference in terms of finding ways to motivate my husband to take his leadership, to take his place, to use his teeth, his claws, and his roar. Me sitting myself down somewhere and getting out of the way because the culture and the society encourages me to go out in front, encourages me to be the one to do everything, encourages me to go, 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 do, conquer, conquer, conquer. Anything you can do, I can do better. That is the messaging that I've grown up with, and that is the messaging that I have had to learn how to put in its proper perspective so that I'm not defanging, declawing, or silencing the man in my house. So I hope that answers the question. What is this? We have been shown Male Pride Day in and out. Female Pride, day in and out. Day in and day out. Male Pride, day in and day out. Female Pride was rebranded as Black Girl Magic and Empowerment. I'm going to say that this is a very accurate observation. And I'm going to add a little more perspective to what I've observed in the family law space about female pride. Male pride manifests itself very differently and in a way that's very obnoxious. I don't know how else to say it. When men are operating in pride, it is obnoxious. Women's pride, it is more subtle because our pride is packaged in the way that we do for everybody. We do this for you, we do that for you, we feeding the kids, we getting the dinner, we going to work, we did all of that stuff is the way that we mask female pride. And so while yes, in the social media spaces, that Black Girl Magic and women's empowerment, all that stuff, absolutely true. And I'm speaking more on, the more day-to-day pride that women operate in. We operate in the pride that look like we doing for everybody else. That's how our pride looks very often. Women are obnoxious too. we are desensitized to women's obnoxiousness. You know why? Because it looked like we're taking care of our house. It looks like we're taking care of our family. It looks like we're doing what moms and wives are supposed to do. I mean, like, even when I think about it, like this whole thing, mom this, mom that, this type of mom, that type of mom, soccer mom, like that thing is a pride, man. I'm telling you, that thing is a prideful thing. And so I could see how it's obnoxious to y'all brothers, but to the women, to us, we're not obnoxious to one another when we see each other doing our thing. We're not. We're like, okay, she out there doing what she got to do. Because our manifestation of pride is it's sneaky. It is super sneaky and very, very hidden, subtle. So what's this? Don't forget what has been put in front of us. In entertainment, TV, music, and movies, it was programming as how we should act. Yes. That's why we're having these conversations right here. Because, like, look, we got to go counterculture if we're going to save our families. We got to go against, okay, so here's one that I'll talk about a lot. Color Purple. Now, here go, y'all, because keep in mind now, a lot of my work that I've done up until now, it's been a lot of divorces. I mean, thousands. What does this say? Bingo. Yes. I love you too. So the programming, right? So we got to reject the programming. Okay. So here's one that I talk to women a lot because it seems like in our community, the goal is marriage. That's it. Get married. There's no like insight beyond marriage. Like once you actually had a wedding, it's just like, get you a husband, get married. And the main picture from programming and TV that I think of when I think about the Black female mindset towards I just want to get married is Suge Avery running on the side of the road, holding up her wedding finger while her daddy riding by and trying to act like he don't see her and yelling, "As married now." Like, what? Like, is that the only value You's married now? No. Anybody can get married. We got to find out how to stay married. And not just tolerating each other, but like actually building together. The last black role model on TV was Cosby. I don't know. Anybody want to take that one? Because I'm gonna leave that one alone. I admit that I was hyper independent and masculine when my husband met me. Finally, I faced myself and told him I didn't know how to be a lady. He was patient with me as I learned and I took feedback. I love this. I love this because it's this type of awareness, self-awareness. And that's why y'all, when a couple comes to me for mediation, the worst thing you could do is tell me, oh, he not doing this, or he not doing that, or she do this, or she do that. I'm gonna corner you one-on-one, and we're gonna deal with your stuff. And so sis was saying here, she's like, look, I had to realize that I was out of pocket. And look, when you came to your husband and you told him what you realized about yourself, like, did you feel like I felt when I was sitting up there crying? Like I was sitting up there like, I don't even want to have to tell you this about me. Like, I don't even want to have to expose myself to you like this. Man, that thing hurt, man. That thing tore my pride up. I didn't want to have to do it. But I appreciate you, sister, taking a look at yourself and inviting your husband into your healing process, because what I observe about our brothers is that they want to be there for us when they don't have to worry about getting cussed out or clawed. When we're not going to double back and then turn around and tell them we don't need them. Who wants to lead you when you tell them you don't need them? That's not, that math ain't mathing for me. And I'm not coming from any kind of perspective where I done figured it all out. But I tell you this, I take a look at myself a lot of times when I have mess sitting in front of me in the form of a broken family, and I be looking at myself like, ooh, I do that too. I'm gonna need to tighten up. So I'm always about us having that introspection. And so I appreciate y'all and joining the conversation tonight, because this is where the gender wars stop, here at the Law for Love. And so y'all know I don't know what I'm doing. And so, men, these are the kind of conversations that women are having every day, trying to figure out how to understand you. One of the sad things, though, is that a lot of us, we talking to women who know they don't know nothing either. They don't know nothing either. And the way that they're giving advice is making things worse between us. What you say, sis? You say you was crying. Yes, that was me. Like, waterhead. Like, no, you gonna break this pride and you gonna let this man in to help you. And you're going to let him know you need him. What? Straight waterhead, sis. I'm right here with you. And still have to have conversations with myself. All right, now you're gonna go in there and you're gonna act right. You're gonna act right and stop acting like you could do bad all by yourself. No, you can't. What is the point of you want to hurry up and be eyes married now, and you ain't gonna let him lead? And you're not gonna come to him and let him know where and how you need him. Don't complain to me about you. He's not leading if you're not inviting him to lead, or if you're not making room for him to lead, or if you're roaring at him and baring your teeth at him to destroy him. I don't want to hear it. I'm not the one, because I'm over here taking my L's, just like sister was saying, Naya Zeki. We over here taking L's, going into waterhead mode to figure this out and break this mess off of us that we inherited from families full of these hyper strong, independent women. And I'm gonna tell you this. That's why when your girl came out with the whole if you want it, then you should have put a ring on it. I don't even want to say her name. And she out here talk about all my women who independent throw my hands up at me. You know, I ain't had no understanding for her after she was singing all this independent mess, but then she also singing the song how she can't live without her man who just bought her an island. You can't tell me nothing. You want to poison everybody else to be independent while your man buying you islands. Make it make sense. Nah, we want you to lead, men. We do. And so, I appreciate the brothers in this conversation, and I appreciate y'all. Y'all let us have the safety to go ahead and share what we thinking, and that you giving us feedback. And this is what mediating between men and women looks like. Let's hear from both sides. None of us really had role models of what a submitted woman looks like, or what a man with his roar, his claws, and his teeth intact as the king of creation, made in the image of his father. Most of us haven't had that model for us, but we're going to find our way as long as we continue to have these conversations in love and in truth, without attacking or blaming each other, but finding our way back to each other because we need each other. And so that's it for tonight. He Say, She Say Family Coach Live. I am your host, Shar Selassie, founder of Law for Love. The gender wars stop here. We're having this conversation every Monday night. I invite anyone who would like to have a mediation. I do offer them for free. And I'm going to tell you right now, my one-on-one time for individual mediation is getting very, 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 very thin due to my current caseload. But that offer is still available through this YouTube live offer to share the gift of mediation and helping you to hear each other, interpreting what's not being said. That is the gift that I have. I jump in the middle of food fights because that is where I'm called to be. And so I invite you into that space so that we can help restore some healing and some connection between the men and the women in our communities so that our families can be stronger. With that, y'all, I love you, family, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday.